Welcome to Mighty Married Moms. Join us at our kitchen table twice a week as the Mighty Married Moms, Debbie, Linda, Wendy, invite spectacular guests to weigh in on staying sexy, vibrant, and healthy, building marriages with soul-satisfying connection, raising happy, healthy, successful kids. Conversations with Mighty Married Moms will bring you closer to the life you really want.
Episode 134.
Hi, this is Wendy Williams, and marriage happiness is way possible. ConnectAgain.org is very happy to sponsor Mighty Married Moms. We are partners in bringing you closer to the life you really want. Visit us today for marriage boosts at ConnectAgain.org.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Mighty Married Moms. I'm Debbie Owen from YouCanRaiseGreatKids.com.
And I am Wendy Williams from ConnectAgain.org.
And we are missing our third wheel today, Linda. So we're hoping that she'll show up, but she's clearly stuck in traffic somewhere, and we need to keep rolling.
That's right.
Life goes on.
The show must go on.
That's right. And we are really excited to welcome back Dr. Bradley Nelson, who is one of the world's foremost experts in the emerging fields of bioenergetic medicine and energy psychology. And through his 20-plus years as a holistic physician and his studies of ancient medical practice and modern quantum physics, Dr. Brad has developed the Emotion Code, a system for releasing trapped emotions that block mental and physical healing. And Dr. Brad, you have a long biography, and we did have a previous episode, so I'm just going to cut to the chase and just say welcome back. We're really thrilled to have you with us again
Totally.
today. Yeah.
Totally. Well, thanks, Debbie and Wendy. It's great to be back on your show.
Yeah, great. One of the first things that I would like to talk about is how the accessibility of what gets done with the Emotion Code. So just give us a little brief, like what it does and how accessible it is to the common person.
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. Well, one of the best stories about this that I can share is, and forgive me if I shared this before, but it was a woman who got the Emotion Code, started reading it, and she got it on audio as well, so she was listening to it and reading it, and her son started reading it and listening to it. And he started practicing with his friends, and a couple weeks later the phone rang, and the woman on the other end of the line identified herself as the mother of one of her son's friends. And she said, listen, your son has been doing this emotion thing, and I don't really understand what he's been doing. But she said, something really dramatic has happened. She said, my son has had a phobia, a severe phobia of water all of his life. And we've tried everything to fix it, taken him to lots of people. Nothing has ever worked. She said, right now, my son is swimming in the pool with the other boys. She said, this is impossible, but it's happening. She said, your son did this to him. I can't understand how this is. What is he doing?
What does he do? Yeah.
What's going on? And those two boys are only 11 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's pretty accessible.
Yeah.
It's very accessible. It's very, very simple. In fact, we have children as young as 6 that are using the Emotion Code.
Wow.
Now, did these 11-year-old boys go through a class? Did they go through a course?
No, the boy just read the book.
Yeah, he read the book, listened to it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all he did was just see. That was my experience, is that just reading the book, you're very, very clear in the book about how to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in the book. I wrote the book in such a way that the idea that I had in mind was that if you were the only person on the earth and you were stranded on a desert island or something and it was just you and you just had the book, you'd have everything in there that you needed to be able to learn it and do it.
So interesting that you say that. It's exactly my experience of reading it. Was like, it's all right here. I don't need to do another. I don't need a YouTube video. I don't need nothing.
Yeah.
No, it's all in there.
Yes.
So, the key understanding with the Emotion Code, as far as how it works, it has really to do with the mind itself, and it has to do with the conscious mind. Now, we divide the mind up into the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And the conscious mind, of course, is where we live. With your conscious mind, you're watching this, you're listening to us. And the conscious mind is where we make our decisions. But have you ever forgotten anything important, like within the last week?
Yeah, a couple times. Just saying.
Once or twice.
Oh, my gosh, I know. My wife just recently couldn't find her glasses, and they were on her head. And
oh, yeah. I was walking around with something in my hand saying, where is it? Where is it?
Right.
It's really funny. But that's our conscious mind. Now, what you need to understand is that your subconscious mind is by far the vast bulk of your intelligence.
Right.
And your subconscious mind is so intelligent. Think about this. It can take a ham sandwich and it can convert that into a cardiac muscle cell, or it can convert it into a new nerve cell.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are, I think, 700 trillion cells in the body. And what they say is that the level of organization of a single cell in your body is equivalent to a full-size aircraft carrier filled with thousands and thousands of people, and with jets on the ramp ready to take off. That's how complex a single cell is.
It's amazing.
It really, truly is amazing. I mean, the fact that we're living and breathing truly every moment is absolutely a miracle.
Amazing. Yeah.
Well, really. So if you think about it, that subconscious mind of yours, I believe, is much, much more than 99% of your intelligence.
Wow.
So if you think about it, the conscious mind that we live in is like a little teeny, it's like a little teeny peanut.
Yep. But yet we let it drive so much of ourselves.
It's true.
It's so upsetting. You know,
Well,
like if I look at myself in the mirror and I go, oh, I am, and I have this statement that I feel is all-encompassing, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that's true.
Homely, disheveled, whatever it might be. And that, but that's like you said, 1/1000th of the reality of what else I am
Well,
in any given
yes,
moment.
that's true. But now, here's what I want you to think about. People who bought the movie, The Secret, or they watched that, or they read the book, and they learned about the law of attraction, that was a lot of people did that. But a lot of people were very frustrated because they found out that even if they tried as hard as they could to change what they were consciously thinking, to change what they were attracting into their life, it just didn't seem to work that well. What we now understand, though, is that the 99+% of your intelligence that's subconscious is also driving you. And it's interfering with your ability to really manifest abundance and love and the perfect blueprint for your life that is embedded in that heart of yours that you came into this world with. That's what I believe. And so our emotional baggage, you can think of it this way. You can think of everybody that you know as dragging all these Samsonite suitcases full of rocks.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
That's what it's like.
Yeah.
And so what we do is we're dragging all this baggage. Some of it is from our own life, all of this emotional baggage. Some of it is from the lives of our ancestors that it's not even our fault really, right? Mm-hmm. And so what we try to do during our lifetime is we try to manifest perfection and abundance and love and success and all of those things while we're dragging all of this baggage that is trying to stop us from doing just that, you see. Right. And so the emotion code, all it is really is just this incredibly simple way to cut yourself loose from those suitcases.
The suitcases
full of rocks. That's what it's like.
Right.
And so what we're realizing now is that our emotional baggage is really the underlying reason for all of the symptoms that we suffer from, or at least it's a major underlying reason. It is the underlying reason for many problems like depression and anxiety and phobias and panic attacks, eating disorders, PTSD. It's also a major underlying cause of things like cancer and other diseases. Every disease process that we've seen now in 27 years has had emotional baggage as a major underlying component. Sometimes it's the only component. About this. We've all heard of people who go through some tremendous problem. They go through a divorce or, they lose their spouse or something. And a few years later, what happens? They've got cancer.
Right.
Right? Well, sometimes it's the only reason for the cancer is the emotional baggage that they picked up in the divorce or the death in the family or whatever. So you see in Western medicine, unfortunately, Western medicine is overly influenced and really has been co-opted by big pharma, by the drug companies.
Yes, sir.
And their agenda is just to sell more drugs and make more money.
Yep.
They're in business to do that, right?
So let me ask you, because I have a family member for whom this may have been the case, somebody who has cancer, and you perhaps make some comment, you generically make some comment about, I think a lot of the stress that you've experienced over the last year or two, or it could even go back earlier than that, may have contributed to this, and let's see if, we can try to ease that. Oh, no, because my such and such count was low for months beforehand. And so, I mean, how would you address somebody who says, oh, no, it can't possibly be this woo-woo stuff. It has to be
Open the door to that possibility, yeah.
Well, my experience with people that are in that sort of situation is I give them a copy of the Emotion Code book,
okay,
and let them read it.
Okay.
And that opens their minds typically. Not everybody is open. And, we've got about 2,500 certified Emotion Code practitioners now around the world who are making a living using the Emotion Code and healing other people. And the question that sometimes comes from them is, well, what about people who aren't open to this? And the answer generally is, well, find somebody that is open, because there's no shortage of people that are open, and other people, let them read the book, and then they'll come back maybe in 6 months or a year, and then they'll be open.
Okay.
Right.
That's fair.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And just to kind of draw that line again about how impacted we are by our emotions, and how we think of we've been, people our age have been come up in a world that's very Western medicine, very sort of mechanistic, if you will. I smoke, I get cancer. I
Do
whatever.
this,
Yeah. As how many people, everybody in our audience, you, me, Debbie, can count a few cases where somebody's been married for a very long time and one spouse dies, and within the year the other spouse goes.
Oh, yeah, that's very common.
It's very common. Yeah. And people say, they died of a broken heart, which is a romanticized version of...
That's true. It's a romanticized version.
It's a that's true, but it's also true that their body has degraded because of that emotional impact and that breach in a lifeline to another human being. And we've all experienced it. We all know it. And like I say, we kind of put it in this cute category of romantic, but it illustrates this point to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it does, and the fascinating thing about this particular topic is that the medical profession a couple of years ago came out and said, well, we now know that people actually apparently do die of a broken heart. We don't understand what's going on yet, but we're going to give it a name, and the name they've given it is cardiac syndrome.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And what the medical profession now, what the AMA says now is, if you feel like you're having a heart attack, by all means, call 911, go to the hospital. Don't be terribly surprised if they come back after running tests and they tell you, well, all your heart enzymes are normal, everything's normal, you didn't have a heart attack, we don't really know what it was. In those cases, what's really going on is that you're suffering from what they now are calling cardiac syndrome, which means that you may very well be on your way to dying of a broken heart. I had a case years ago. The woman came into me. She thought she was having a heart attack, and she had crushing chest pain, difficulty breathing. Her left arm was entirely numb. Left side of her face, totally numb. And, of course, this looked like a heart attack to me, right? Obvious. Anybody would think there's a heart attack. And I told my staff we might need an ambulance standby, and I did some testing on her. And just using the Emotion Code, tapped into the subconscious mind, which is very easy, simple to do. And what I found was she had a trapped emotion of grief that had actually occurred 3 years before. And when I established that's what was going on, she burst into tears. And she said, I can't believe that's affecting me. I thought I dealt with all that. And I said, well, what happened to you? And she said that 3 years before, her husband had an affair. And it destroyed her marriage eventually. And it destroyed her life for a while. And she cried buckets of tears. I mean...
Yeah.
And it even spent about a year in therapy, dealing with the aftermath, and had even recently been remarried. So as far as she was concerned, that ex-husband was just ancient history.
Sure.
But
Apparently not.
she dealt with it mentally. But her physical body was holding that emotional energy from that experience, her husband's infidelity. And so I released that emotion from her, which just takes a few seconds. And the feeling came back into her arm about this fast, whoosh, like that. And the chest pain was gone, difficulty breathing was gone. She left the office 10 minutes later laughing and joking with my staff. Now, I'm still in touch with her. That was about probably 27 years ago. And she's still totally healthy. She has a horse farm in Oregon. But she would, I believe, have been one of these people who would have died of a broken heart. And her husband's affair would have been what really made her think about that.
Fascinating.
Right.
Fascinating. That's amazing stuff.
Yeah.
It goes on all the time.
Yeah, you know, like I'm thinking about a woman of my husband's aunt who passed away from a chronic cardiac condition of some sort, where she was just more and more abed and needing oxygen and kind of, you know, not limping along. And her husband was very devoted to her. She wasn't 60 when she died. I don't believe she was in her 50s, and she and her husband was very, very devoted to her. And he was the youngest of 10 boys, 3 girls and 7 boys. My father-in-law is one of 10. So he was the youngest, and he was adored by all of his brothers and sisters. So his beloved wife passed away in, I think it was a February time frame. And he was out on the lawnmower, riding lawnmower in July, and keeled over and died.
And how old was he?
He was under 60 as well, whatever that was, but he wasn't unhealthy, and he was, you know, the baby, and the other 9 went to his funeral first. And he was they were very, very close. Everybody knew, Peggy, and, you know, they were very, very, very tight.
Yeah.
But so that's just one case that comes to mind. But like I said, as a nurse and as a person, you know, we can all come up with that similar thing. And it's just interesting. I wish he'd had a cardiac syndrome before he went on that. I wish that. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's just as happy to be, you know, gone. But
yeah, he may be.
Yeah.
Probably is.
Yeah, probably is. Probably went to a better place.
Yeah.
But so what? In that realm of the wife and the let's just take it back, that woman, if she'd gone back to 3 years prior when she'd had the trauma of saying, what do you mean you had an affair and I'm devastated?
Yeah.
Is there anything that the emotion code could do in some sort of a huge disruptive relationship issue between a husband and a wife that a person who reads the emotion code or has any sort of skill level at all in it could do?
Well, yes, absolutely. I mean, when you're aware of your emotions, and basically, for those of you that are really new to this, just to give you the capsule version of what happens and how this really works. First of all, if you think about the body itself, you know, you can look at your hand, and your hand looks pretty solid, for example. But if you were to magnify your hand 1,000,000 times, you'd be looking face to face with a single individual atom.
Right.
And if you look inside the atom, there's really nothing in there but empty space and some little infinitesimally tiny energies that are zipping around at the speed of light. And so really honestly, that's what we are. We're beings of pure energy. Now, Einstein understood this. All the quantum physicists have been telling us this for over 100 years. But now finally that we're in the 21st century, we're starting to actually realize they were right. The body is an energy field. And so this is why you've heard people say energy medicine is the future of healing.
Yes.
And that's absolutely true. So what happens to you is that when you're feeling an intense emotion of anger or resentment or depression or whatever it might be,
right in the moment, like right when it's happening.
Yep, right in that moment when that emotion is happening. It's first of all important to understand that we choose our emotions. And most of us have lived most of our lives with the idea, the mistaken idea, that our emotions choose us. And we even say things like this. Our language reflects this belief. We say things like, she made me so angry.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She made me so upset. But see, nobody has that power over us. We choose our own emotions, right?
Yes.
And you know, the
that
greatest,
I believe. That I believe, yes.
We do. In every circumstance, even though we think the emotions might choose us, we can choose. And the greatest example of this, I think, from the life of Christ was where they're nailing him to the cross. And I mean, I can't even imagine, how horrific that would be. But in that moment, what does he choose? He could have chosen any emotion. He chose love and forgiveness. And he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I mean, unbelievable example that he left for us, right? So, and that example is that we can choose.
Choose.
And so that's an important thing to realize. We don't have to choose negative emotions. Now, it takes practice. I'm not saying it's easy. We have said,
No, it's not easy.
It's simple, but not easy. Right.
simple but not easy. My wife and I, between us, we have 7 kids. And
Bless you.
Yeah, really.
yeah, we'll have a moment of silence for my wife.
Yeah.
It was her birthday yesterday. She was 61.
Oh, wow.
So,
Happy.
yeah. But anyway, there have been a number of times where we've had to exercise this this ability to choose the emotion. And I can remember times where, one of our kids would do some stupid thing, and instead of choosing anger and resentment, which just leads to more negative emotions, we would look at each other, and the emotion we would usually choose is curiosity. We would say to each other things like, well, honey, I don't know. What do you think? How much longer is this child going to be choosing these stupid things?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, honey. I'm curious. Will it go on till he's 50? I don't know.
I love that.
That's great.
I'm stealing that totally.
Yes, feel free. Take that.
I love that.
So when he comes in, my husband comes in, he said, Wendy, I have a confession to make. I've been seeing somebody on the side, and I'm going to stop it today. And I'm
Well,
green-eyed monster.
So
I
you
want
can
to
choose
show up.
not to freak out,
I can
but then
choose-
what do I choose in place of that?
Right.
well, you're gonna choose. I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to be inevitable that you're going to experience some intense negative emotions. There's no question about it. Understanding, though, how to release that emotional baggage is really so important. It's kind of like, it's really emotional hygiene. I think it's more important than brushing your teeth, honestly. The dentist won't like this, but if you quit brushing your teeth, they can replace your teeth and you can get dentures and you'll survive. But the emotional baggage that you have can actually kill you, and it kills people every
every day. Yeah.
Yep, every day. In fact, let me tell you a story.
And you don't even have to lose your pulse and your breathing to be dead. Just saying.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
You can be the Walking Dead, which sounds like a great show.
Anyway,
Anyway.
zombie. That's right. Well, years ago, there was a woman who came to me. She was, I think, 72 years old. And the very first thing that showed up on her was that she had a trapped emotion of sadness. And so I started tracing this back, and it went back 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. It went back to 1963. And I thought to myself, gee, I wonder if maybe this was about John F. Kennedy's assassination. And I verbalized that. I asked her that, and her body, her subconscious mind gave this very strong muscle response that, yes, that's exactly what this was. And at that same moment that I'm getting that response back from her body, she is breaking down weeping. And through her tears, she tells me that affected her so deeply. And then when JFK Jr. died in a plane crash, right?
Yeah.
It all came back all over again, and all she could do for days was cry. And I thought, well, here's a perfect example of how emotional baggage will make you feel that particular emotion in an accentuated way. It was the death of another John F. Kennedy. And, I mean, everyone was sad about it. It was a terrible tragedy. But there probably weren't very many people outside of the immediate family that wept for days about it.
Right.
This woman did. So I thought to myself, gee, I wonder where this energy has been all of her life. Now, the really exciting thing about this is you can identify where these things are in the body. A trapped emotion is literally a ball of energy from about the size of a baseball to about the size of a cantaloupe. All right. Now, it took me a long time to figure this out because these things are totally invisible. I have never seen one, but I know people who have seen them, and some people have that kind of extrasensory ability to see things like this. But anyway, I did some testing on her, and I just asked some questions. Well, where was this thing? Was it on the right side of your body somewhere? And the answer came back, no. Was it on the left side of the body? Yes.
Now you're asking, I just want to be clear for our audience, you're asking questions, but you're getting the muscle testing because the
Yes.
person's not conscientious of like, oh yes, it was on the right side. Like I
No.
would know that, but my
had no idea.
unconscious knows it.
And
Yes.
we can go into
Yeah.
that in a minute.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, her unconscious mind, the subconscious mind knows all the answers. It knows everything that's gone on with you all your life. So here's how it worked. She has her arms stretched out straight, and I'm just pressing down on her arm as I'm asking questions. And the subconscious mind will respond to those questions by either strength for yes or weakness for no. It's kind of like the same thing as the lie detector. If you're hooked up to a lie detector, you can say things that are true or false, and the needle will change depending on if you're telling the truth or
Right.
telling a lie. And this is just another way to do it. And so the answer came back, no, it wasn't on the right side of her body. It was on the left side. Was it below the diaphragm? No. And the answer that we finally got to was that it was actually in the left breast area. Now, when we arrived at that, she and I just stared at each other wide-eyed because 4 years before, that breast had been removed.
Interesting.
Sure. Because you see what happens with these trapped emotions is because the body itself is pure energy. When you have a trapped emotion, a ball of negative emotional energy that now is in the body someplace, what's going on is that the energy field within that little ball of emotion is being distorted on a continual level. Now, when you distort the body's energy field in some place, ultimately you're distorting the body itself because that's all the body is an energy field ultimately. Right?
Ultimately, yeah.
Yeah, that's all it is. Now, the other thing that's interesting is that the body in that area, wherever that emotion is lodged, I believe is literally feeling that emotion on a continual level, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That part of your body is continually feeling that emotion, whether it's anger or resentment or sadness.
Pretty big.
Yeah. Well, and in this case, you see the other thing that happens is because of that distorting effect that goes on, I believe that this was probably the only reason why she had that cancer. Because what was going on all those years was that there was this distortion happening. So every chemical reaction taking place in the breast was being altered a little bit. The blood flow was being altered a little bit. The lymph flow was being altered a little bit. The flow of the acupuncture energy in the breast, that was all being tweaked a little bit. And eventually, if you irritate and you distort tissue long enough, eventually it can just become malignant. And that's what happened to her. And this happens every single day. Listen, in 27 years, I have not seen a single case of cancer where trapped emotions were not an underlying reason.
Well, I totally believe that that is possible.
Right.
I really do. You know, having seen people with cancer, the couple of people in my family who have had cancer, and knowing what their stories are leading up to their cancer diagnosis, you know, I just say that it makes so much sense.
Right.
You're dealing with all of this stuff in your head and not recognizing the fact that it's actually spreading throughout your body, and your body is basically in rebellion and saying, I can't handle it all.
Well, here's what I've come to the conclusion of.
Okay.
And that is that really, if you think about it, okay, think about your car, all right? If you're driving your car down the freeway and your check engine light comes on, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to go to a mechanic, hopefully soon. If your mechanic, you know, checks it out for a couple of days, he calls you up and you go to pick it up. And if your mechanic says, listen, we found the problem. The check engine light was on. We've disconnected it. You should be fine. You're good to go. No charge. What would you think? You'd think your mechanic, there's something wrong, right? Because even you're not a mechanic, but you know there's got to be more, right? That doesn't make any sense at all. Right. Here's what you have to understand. In the body, you see, the symptoms that we experience are exactly equivalent to the check engine light in your car. Now, your symptom, whatever it may be, is like the check engine light. So, I mean, it may be pain in your neck. It could be migraine headaches. It could be infertility, asthma, digestive disorders. It could be depression.
Yeah.
It could be, here's a symptom, another symptom. You don't think of this, but a symptom of imbalances going on in the body, of emotional baggage, is that you don't have enough money in your bank account, that it seems like there's holes in your bank account, and the money just keeps draining. You can't seem to make enough money. You can't seem to break out. You can't seem to create the abundance you want. If you're alone, you can't seem to find your soulmate. Your emotional baggage is in the way. All of these things are symptoms. I've come to the conclusion, because I believe and know that we are children of a loving God who is a God of abundance. He has everything.
Right.
Nothing negative going on, well, except maybe the things that we do.
Right.
But that is really, I believe, who we are intended to be. And what ends up happening to us is that we develop all this emotional baggage, and so we end up living these diminished lives
Yes.
that are far from where we should be. And getting rid of our emotional baggage is such a beautiful thing, because eventually it's like stepping out of this old suit that we've been carrying, walking around in all of our lives, and we step out of that into this new state of being that is so much closer to who
We are intended.
We're intended to be.
Exactly right, see?
Yeah.
And so meanwhile, at the same time, we're getting rid of all these symptoms. You know, I have to tell you, we get testimonials every day from all over the world, but one that really touched me a couple of months ago, this woman in Italy sent this testimonial. She posted it to our website, and she included a photo of herself and her husband standing, and in the background you could see this little teeny mountain village in Italy where they live. And I started reading this testimonial, and in her broken English, she says that she had a very difficult marriage for a long time, but then she got a new husband. And so I'm thinking, oh, well, this must be a picture of her and her new husband. But then she continued, and she said what happened was they got an emotion code practitioner in Budapest who actually worked with her husband and cleared his emotional baggage, and specifically cleared his heart wall, which is emotional baggage that surrounds the heart oftentimes. And she said, it's like I have a new husband.
Wow.
He's
Wonderful.
loving and attentive, and he's warm, and it's just totally so much better now. Thank you so much. It was the same guy.
Yeah, but a new guy.
But a new guy had emerged. He
Yeah.
stepped out of that
Yeah.
constrained old coat that
I
he was
love
wearing
this.
that he shouldn't have been wearing anymore,
I
and
love this.
stepped more fully into that new suit that fit him the right way.
Yeah.
No, that it's so powerful. I you know, I think that emotion, like you say, emotion and the way that we're supposed to live, there's a gap between what we experience on a day-to-day level and what we take in and what we could be and should be. There's such a gap. And certainly that's why we do what we do, is that we want to give people whatever it takes to help close that gap and bring them closer to being the people they want to be. And this
Exactly.
is so foundational, so foundational.
Well, it really is. It's so foundational, and it's really so simple to do. You know, so many people have had so many problems. And I mean, if you think about your own life for a moment, and you think about the experiences you've been through, maybe you've been through a divorce. Maybe you were bullied as a child. Maybe your parents fought and argued. Maybe you were an orphan. You know, we all go through things that we would rather not have gone through in our lives. And we have emotional baggage from those things. In fact, sometimes the emotional baggage that we have is not even from our own life. Sometimes it's not even our fault. Sometimes our emotional baggage is actually inherited from our ancestors. And, you know, that's something that the emotion code covers as well. Now, consciously, there's no way that you could ever know that.
Right.
You see, the subconscious mind is like a holographic computer. It's archiving everything that's ever happened to you in your life. It knows everything.
Yeah.
And I believe it knows those things down to the cellular level and even down to the quantum level and maybe even beyond that. I mean, the subconscious mind knows. So getting
It's
rid
like
of
one giant card catalog, isn't it? There's nothing that ever escapes the card
no,
catalog.
nothing. It's
The biggest
all,
library in the world is right
Yeah.
in here.
It really
And you
is
have
so
one,
amazing.
She has one.
We've all got one.
Yeah.
And, you know, in my practice, let me tell you something. I spent the last 10 years of the 17 years that I practiced in a brick and mortar practice working primarily with people who had been told there was no cure for them, people who had been given up on by Western medicine. And they would come to me as I was the doctor of last resort.
Last resort.
Wow.
And I had people coming to me from all over the place because people were getting well. Now, what I found was that it got to a point where I didn't really care really very much what they'd been diagnosed with, because when you get a diagnosis, it's just a label that's been stuck to your head.
Right.
Oh, you have this problem this is whatever disease. And you know the medical profession, Wendy, they're naming new diseases all the time, right? Because that's how they get reimbursed and so on. But
like cardiac syndrome, for instance.
There's a new one. Yeah,
there you go.
A good one, actually.
It's got a new CPT code, I'm sure. Yeah,
I'm sure it does.
Yes.
That's how it works. Well, so anyway, I got to a point where I didn't really care what they've been diagnosed with, because I knew what really needed to be done was that the underlying imbalances that were making these symptoms manifest in their life needed to be gotten rid of.
Mm-hmm.
It was the underlying imbalances. And by far, 80% of all the imbalances that people suffer from is their emotional baggage. And the beauty of the emotion code is that it's so simple that really anybody can do it. And you don't have to pay money to go to somebody. I mean, you can if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
You can go online. You can go to Healer's Library. You can find a practitioner. They're all over the planet now. You can find somebody that can work with you. And because it's energy work, you don't even have to be in the same country.
Same room. Yeah.
No, it's done at a distance just as well as it is done in person.
That's amazing to me.
But, see, the thing is, if Einstein were the third member of your married moms group, he would totally be understanding. He'd say, "Oh yeah, that makes total sense."
Yeah. That's great. That's great.
Where is he? Yeah. Right.
He's here somewhere.
So this is great. We probably should start to kind of zero in on closing up a little bit here, and I'm wondering what kind of things can we offer our audience as positive things that they could do today. I mean, obviously, we would recommend that people go get the
that book and read it and be
apply
able
it.
to take care of some serious things.
Right. But are there like a couple of tips or one really important tip, something you can share with us right now that would be helpful?
Yes, absolutely. I think the first thing to realize is that you have emotional baggage.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing. You have it.
Everybody does.
Everybody's got it. And it's interfering with your life. If you've got physical or mental or emotional symptoms of any kind, if your life is less than a life of abundance and joy, if there are emotional issues going on or if you've been diagnosed with some disease, whatever, there are emotional components to that. There's no question about it. The most advanced holistic clinics now in the world are starting to use the emotion code because they're finding
Really?
It's key. Oh, absolutely. Yes. And so, but the beauty of it is you can do it yourself. You can use it for your own health, your own body. You can use it on your husband or your wife. You can use it on your kids. And let me tell you something. I know a little bit about raising kids because I've raised 7. I'm not an expert by any means. However, having the emotion code has made just an enormous night and day difference in raising my kids.
And we're going to come back to that in a future episode, everybody. So tune in again because I want to dive into that.
I want to hear what you've done. Yeah.
Now, the next thing that you can do is you can, I can give you a method that we teach in the Emotion Code book of how to tap into the subconscious mind.
Yeah.
And we call this the sway test.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if do you two want to stand up and do this with me?
Yeah,
Sure.
hopefully.
I'll walk you through
Our
it.
heads won't be cut off. We'll figure that out.
Yep, we're good.
No, I think you're going to be okay. Just stand back close to the wall. Not too close. Now, here's how this works, okay? If you think about a plant, they've done studies with plants where if they put a plant in a pot in a room that has uniform lighting all around, the plant will grow straight up, right? And if you put a plant near a window, it'll grow towards the light coming in from the window. We all know that. But they've done these amazing studies where they have found that a plant will respond to music. If you put a plant in a room with uniform lighting and you have a speaker in the room, in a corner of the room that's playing beautiful, soothing music and lullabies, the plant will bend towards the speaker.
Oh, wow.
By the same token, if that speaker is playing, screamo music or really harsh grating sounds, it'll bend away.
Really?
Yes, it will. Now,
Are my sons listening? Yeah, anyway.
I hope they are.
Yes, I hope so too.
So here's what happens with the human body. The human body will sway. If you're standing up, relax, just drop your hands down to your sides. And as you're standing there, you can do this at home. As you're standing there very relaxed, if you're thinking thoughts of positivity or truth or congruency, your body will tend to sway forward, just like a plant growing, going towards the speaker. On the other hand, if you're holding thoughts of negativity or falsehood or incongruency, your body will sway backwards. So close your eyes and follow along with us at home. Here's how we're going to do this. The first thought that I'm going to have you think about is the thought of war. Now, I want you to think about, we hear that word all the time. That's okay.
We'll go backwards. I really did. Okay, go
Yes,
ahead.
absolutely. Now, as you think about that, we hear that word all the time, but
I keep falling backwards. We're scared over here. We're falling.
That's okay. I'd like you to just think for a moment about what really goes on in war. What do people do to other people? What happens to villages, and what happens to countries and families, and think of all the tears that have been shed throughout history for all the wars that have been fought, and what a terrible thing it is. The moment your subconscious mind gets into resonance or connects with what that thought really means, at that moment you're going to start to sway backward. And for Wendy, boom, it was right away.
Yep.
And that happened undoubtedly for some of you on the phone as well.
Yeah.
Now, let's shift gears, and I want you to think about something really positive, and I'm going to give it to you. You ready? Let's think about unconditional love. Let's imagine that 1,000 years have gone by, and you're the same person that you used to be in some ways, but you've changed because now, first of all, you're surrounded with this field of unconditional love that's just amazing from the whole universe, unconditional love for you. But you've also changed because now, 1,000 years into the future, you've become this vessel of unconditional love. And the unconditional love that you have, this pure love that fills your heart, is so big for the whole universe and all of creation that your heart can't even contain that love, that love expands out from your heart and it fills the immensity of space. Imagine what it would be like to be that kind of a person. Now, when you get into resonance, when your subconscious mind connects with what that thought really is, you're going to be on your tiptoes, right? Could you feel that?
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. So this is just to demonstrate to you that your body it has the ability to talk to you, and you're tapping into the subconscious mind, this incredibly powerful computer that we really honestly have no idea how powerful it is. So here's what you can also do. Using the sway test, you can ask a question. Like, for example, do I have a trapped emotion that needs to be released? Hold that thought in your mind. I think there's Wendy going forward on that.
I'm going to hit my tooth on the table soon, yeah.
Just hold that thought in your mind. Do I have a trapped emotion that needs to be released? Mm-hmm. And try this one. Do I have a heart wall? Now, the heart wall is where you have built up a wall around the heart to protect your heart from being totally broken. 93% of people have this. Do I have a heart wall?
Yeah.
Do I have a heart wall? And if you sway forward on that, that's your subconscious mind saying, absolutely, there's a heart wall here. Yes. And getting rid of that can change your whole entire life, because you see, the heart is really exactly what the ancients believed it to be. It's the seat of the soul and the core of your being and the source of love and romance. I mean, think about it. If somebody's really hurting you, where do you feel it? You feel it in your heart. You feel like your heart's going to break. You feel heartache.
Yeah.
That's where that word heartbreak is in every language around the world. It's universal to mankind. Well, your heart, during those circumstances, your heart is under assault. And so your subconscious mind will put up a wall around the heart made of emotional baggage, right? And it's literally like a force field around the heart. It interferes with your ability to give love, because love really is an energy as well as a feeling, and it's a verb and everything else. But it also is an energy that they've actually photographed in Russia using a device called the gas discharge visualization machine. It looks like a fire coming out of the heart. And so you see, if you're single and you're trying to find the right person, it's all about your heart. Let me tell you one last story.
Okay.
There was a woman who came to me. She was a nurse, 38 years old. She came to me for neck pain. She'd seen a couple doctors. They couldn't fix it. She came to see me. And as I'm talking with her and taking a history, she tells me that she's single. She's been single for 8 years. She has not dated anyone in 8 years. And she's never going to date again. She's going to die single. She's basically celibate. And she's 38 years old. She's attractive. And I said, well, what happened to you? And she said that 8 years before, her boyfriend that she was deeply in love with dumped her and broke her heart. It was brutal. And that was it. So I tested her and found she had a heart wall. Now, there were 3 emotions making up this wall. And in the book, we teach you how to do this. And I'm going to tell you how you can get the book for free here in just a second.
Okay.
But there were 3 trapped emotions making up that wall around her heart, and I released those. It might have taken 10 minutes. And suddenly the neck pain was gone, because sometimes we have neck pain and shoulder tightness because we've got a heart wall.
Okay.
And so suddenly it was gone, and she left the office and felt fine. I didn't see her again for 3 months. When she came back in, I'll always remember this. She came in, I said, hey, you look great. I haven't seen you for a while. How's it going? What's happening? She said, my neck's been fine since I was here. But she said, you removed that heart wall from me. And that really works, because she said, about 2 weeks after I was here, I found out my childhood sweetheart has been living right around the corner for almost 8 years.
Wow.
And we're dating, and we're in love, and I think he's going to ask me to marry him. Right?
Oh my gosh.
Talk about a huge turnaround. Now, I want you to understand something. And if you open your heart and your mind, you will sense and feel that what I'm telling you is true. And that is that if you're trying to create a better relationship, or if you're trying to find a relationship, you're trying to fall in love, maybe you're single, maybe you've been divorced, maybe it's time for you to find another, find a mate. If you have a heart wall, and there's a 93% chance that you do, because that's the incidence of the heart wall in the world. 93% of people have it. If you've got a heart wall, you need to get rid of that, because it can change your whole life. I recently got an email from a woman, 85 years old, told me that she'd never had a happy moment in her entire life, didn't know what it meant to feel happy, didn't know what it meant to feel joy, had a horrific life until the heart wall was removed. Now she says she can't wipe the smile off of her face. Now, for the first time in her life, she knows what joy actually is. Think about that.
Wow.
She only wishes she would have found out about it a long time ago. Now, here's how you can get the Emotion Code book and the book on audio as well for free. This is my gift to you.
Awesome.
Go to this website right now. Go to emotioncodegift.com. And it's a free gift, $67 value. I want you to have it. It's a PDF download, and you can also download the book on audio so you can listen to it, which is how I like to listen to books, and you can start practicing it. And you'll find out, just like hundreds of thousands of people all over the world have found out, we're not making this up. This is real. It really does work. Try it, and you'll be amazed.
Can I get rid of my own heart wall? Because any one of us, we don't need to go to a practitioner to get rid of the heart wall?
No, you can get rid of your own heart wall, absolutely. Yes,
Really? All right. All right. That sounds really, that's really important, because I really do believe that.
Yeah.
I really do believe that. I had a recent rift with somebody that I'm related to, that I'm very close to, and it was very, very, very painful. And I'm old enough, whatever you might say, wise enough to know that she was just completely in her own world and projecting it onto me. I wasn't even part of it. It was her own heart wall was really getting in the way of, and it was really painful to be on the other side of it, like accused wrongly, but to also witness somebody being so miserable. And so anyway, I know that I have that too ability.
Yeah.
So, but it's great to know that this gift that you have been given, and I believe you when you say that you are a vessel for this, that you didn't dream it up or make it up, but thankfully it's out there, and this is all part of getting this out there, because I believe truly that this work is really the penicillin of the 21st century.
Yeah,
this is going to change how human beings feel and operate and move forward in life in a much more healthy way.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Well, yes, and it's all about empowering people, and you can be empowered to get rid of your own emotional baggage. You can help your own kids and your own family members. It's just really so amazing, and I'm so grateful just to be able to be the messenger to bring it into the world. It really doesn't have much to do.
Yeah,
I just work here.
Yeah, that's right.
I love that.
That's right.
I love that.
I just work here.
Well, folks, we have been blessed yet again to have time to talk with Dr. Bradley Nelson. Thank you so much, Dr. Brad. And we will have you back again. We're going to get into dealing with kids and helping them deal with their emotional baggage so that they don't grow up spending the next 80 years of their lives feeling no joy. So
Absolutely.
you have been listening to the Mighty Married Moms, and we're going to ask you if you would please leave us a rating and a review
On iTunes.
on iTunes and share this with your family and friends. And thanks again, Dr. Brad, and we will look forward to seeing everybody again really soon. Thank you.
Thank you both so
Bye,
much.
everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Mighty Married Moms. Tune in twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays to meet fascinating and inspiring guests who will help you create the life you've always wanted.
You can find these episodes and special gifts just for you at mightymarriedmoms.com, as well as a link to our Facebook community,
where we continue the conversation around the kitchen table. Please also help share the love by leaving a review on iTunes. We'll see you next time.